Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of In Our Humble Opinion. So, my name is Gilbert Cheah. I'm joined here by my two lovely compatriots, Daisy Irani on my right,
Namaste.
and Chris Jensen on my left. Henson.
Jensen.
You're talking to Jensen.
See. And I think you guys are the adults in the show, you know?
So today we are going to be talking about surprises. First, the surprise of an NUS student stealing undergarments, or actually it should be no surprise. And then a surprise finding that perhaps dengue might give someone immunity against COVID. We'll explore that. We'll look at a surprise last-minute stay of execution from the President of Singapore on a drug trafficker who was scheduled to be executed. And what other surprises do we have? We have a surprise request from Parti Liyani, the well-known maid, ex-maid of Liu Manleong, who has asked for a court inquiry against two prosecutors. So, lots of surprises, or maybe no surprises. Let's start off by talking about the stealing of undergarments. Maybe Chris can address
Now, this time you got the name right, so he has to start.
Stealing undergarments lah, farting stories lah, you know.
I wonder
It's your
why.
niche.
Why? Yeah.
It's your
Leave it to
niche.
Chris.
He's created it.
Yes.
Yeah, leave it to Chris. Okay, everybody. Another male undergraduate from NUS was caught and ended up in court actually for allegedly trespassing into rooms in the hostels and stealing underwear belonging to the female hostelites. This is not the first time. It's not the first time we are reading about, well, don't talk about the university, about someone stealing underwear.
Yes.
Isn't it? I mean, this show has become a steal underwear kind of show nowadays. We keep highlighting things like
Because
that.
it seems to be happening a lot in Singapore, right? I mean, there was this guy who was defiling women's underwear in a HDB flat, and then he photographed himself doing it and putting it on his Instagram. And you know what? I checked. His Instagram is still up. This guy is something else entirely. But yeah, so...
You mean he served his time already?
No, I think he was just charged in court.
Right.
Yeah, for an end sentence.
No, but actually what is
Yeah, but
going
the
I think he was
Sentence.
fined.
Yeah, but the sentence
He
doesn't
was
say
fined.
to
Yeah,
he
remove
was
the
fined.
post, does
Yeah.
it?
The post was deleted a while back, but his
It's
Instagram
back.
is still up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But in any case, you know, the point is that what's happening in our universities?
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, I can understand maybe if you're, I don't know, 16, you know, this guy's 26. You would think you have outgrown those kind of adolescent,
no, but it's not just
juvenile.
isolated to 1, 2, 3 cases. Last year there was a guy who was accused of assaulting a woman, also in the hostel, on campus, and another who pled guilty earlier this month to 3 charges of insulting a woman's modesty and 1 of criminal trespass.
So that was the, upskirt videos?
Yeah, there were the
And then the
upskirting,
stealing of lingerie.
the molesting as well, right?
Oh, and then the shower
The shower thing.
things,
Yeah.
you know.
So it's what's going on? Study
Yeah.
too much,
I'm wondering myself also, you know. There's no excuse for this kind of behavior, but I think that it is maybe a bit understandable if you're a teenager, you know, exploring. But these people are, you know, older. They should know better.
You know what I think? I read here in
Is it because they were repressed there during their teenage years?
But this disease of sexual attraction to used underwear is called paraphilia.
it's a fetish.
Yeah,
that's-
it's you can call it a perversion.
Yes.
And I just want to give another point of view, you see, because people have perversions. It will not be possible to totally eradicate this behavior. But the point is, how do you find out about these issues in time?
That's why.
So instead of having condemnation, you have treatment, you know. So, sorry, just to give you another point of view, for example, Japan.
Yes.
Okay, so Japan historically actually in one way they
have a more allowance
embrace
for it.
the
Yes.
perversion. So you have vending machines.
Yes, yes.
You have
I was
vending
about to
machines
say.
where you have used underwear.
Yes,
What do you
you
mean
can
vending
buy-
machines? You know what they have now? Just yesterday it was out. It was reported yesterday. Porn stars and the porn industry had started this. What's the word for it? It's like their version of a theme park.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
A theme park.
Yeah.
It's a porn theme park.
Well,
I mean, kudos to the Japanese, man.
No, it's what I'm trying to say is this is a perversion, this is a fetish. I'm not qualified to say, but giving them fines or continuously just jailing them might not be the total answer. Because, I mean, and
So
going the
basically to
Japanese way,
commercialize it-
I don't know, going the Japanese way
Yeah.
is the
Yeah,
solution.
yeah, no,
But
it's a
at
good
least that
question.
guy gets his
Yeah,
underwear,
yeah.
does whatever, doesn't have to
Yeah.
go into university, doesn't have to creep into students' rooms.
Yeah, but
Yes.
you see,
You
could
know.
it be porn addiction? Because this guy that was caught, he was also charged of being in possession of obscene films.
Yeah, I don't know if one necessarily leads to the other.
the
There are many
word-
people who watch porn who don't go and steal women's underwear. You
So
know?
it's a fetish.
But
So
apparently,
it is
quite a
a
number of
fetish,
guys
you
have been
know.
stealing
Yeah.
girls'
But
underwear.
as a parent, it does not inspire confidence in the university at all.
Well, I mean,
and they're the
yeah.
victims and their families. I mean, I'm thinking if I had a daughter,
Well, at least he
who's-
was caught. That's the thing.
But that's why
Yeah.
you get a bit worried, because if you have a daughter in university and you keep hearing about these cases coming up in Singapore, you're just thinking, hey, university has to do a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that in the issue of, let's say, for example, shower videos, you definitely need to have a better security, and they have installed the guards over the to block the ceiling, so they can't climb over.
But don't you
and stuff like
don't you
that.
find it strange that we've got the guys who are committing these sort of acts, and then we've got the ladies, undergraduates who are that we've heard and we discussed this before, sugar babies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's all happening.
It's
in
a bit
the
different though,
university.
because one is
it's a-
economic. And
Okay.
they want to make money.
No,
basically,
it's not a fetish, right?
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
It's not
Yeah.
a perversion that.
Yeah.
No, now if you were a sugar baby, undercover, and then you're sneaking into the room to be
Oh,
a sugar
boy.
baby, then that's a different kind of
Yeah,
situation.
okay, that one
right?
we don't know about.
Yeah.
You can share it with us another time. So
No, you can share it with Gilbert another time.
Well,
So anyway, enough about that one. That's one surprise or no surprise there. Very strange. Next one is actually something quite interesting. A study that was done in Brazil found a possible link between the spread of dengue fever and the spread of COVID-19. And basically what they found was that Brazil is one of the most badly affected countries in the world for COVID cases. But it's a huge, huge country. And they basically looked at areas that did not have as high a infection rate of COVID-19. And after plotting and studying, they found that those were areas where they had a high dengue infection. And they thought, is there possibly some reason for this? So there is it's a new study. It's not been published yet. And it's important to note, basically, that they've noticed that there were slower COVID cases in these areas with dengue. And they felt that perhaps there was a correlation there. But it's important to note that it's not as if they studied the virus in a petri dish and said, we can see a definite reaction between COVID and dengue. That's the thing.
But isn't there quite a number of different strains of dengue? This is a particular strain. If after having read the article, and they mentioned the name of the strain though.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter because like I said, it's not done in a laboratory. It's basically a study of infection patterns.
Yeah, but you see, it says the dengue is flavivirus serotypes.
No, that is that is not one particular kind of dengue.
Oh, it's not?
Yeah, it's not.
Okay.
That basically they are looking at the the two viruses and how they interact with each other.
But don't you think it's interesting that in Singapore we've got this dengue issue that's been happening for a while as well. It's quite serious, yeah?
It's serious.
As a matter of fact, it's a hell of a lot more fatal than what we've got for the COVID-19.
20 deaths in August alone, this year.
But our numbers for COVID-19 has been coming down. It's kind of...
Yeah, so there's some possible correlation there. So I wanted to stress this. I find it very interesting is that this is actually not new to science, that when you get one disease, it actually protects you from the other. Something very interesting is that smallpox is a very deadly disease that killed millions of people. But they found a vaccine. And you know how they found a vaccine? There was a British doctor named Edward Jenner, and he noticed that there was another disease called cowpox, which was a very mild disease that caught from cows. And milkmaids would catch cowpox because they're always milking the cows. And they would get over it. It's very mild. But he noticed that milkmaids who had cowpox did not catch smallpox. So that was how the first smallpox vaccine came about.
Oh, interesting.
It was actually from cowpox, basically.
So the amazing thing is, even COVID-19 is terrified of the damn mozzie, man. Wait.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Saved my life.
Just saved Gilbert because he doesn't have dengue or...
Yeah, but I'll tell you this, okay, what got me was when this was released in the local media, the reaction of many Singaporeans was not, oh, this is interesting or whatever. It was actually, people got irritated and angry. They were saying, what the hell are you telling us this for? You're telling us that we're supposed to catch dengue, then we can be protected from this?
No, did people say that?
Yes.
Yeah.
There were idiots who said that. Yes.
Yes. Means they're not sure whether it's good news or bad news or how are they supposed to take
bad. And
news.
It's the kind of anti-science knee-jerk reaction of idiots, basically.
Daisy, remember that term we used the last episode? Singaporeans have got to stop there. Cow, pei, cow, boo.
Cow, pei, cow, boo.
Yeah, well done. Okay.
Yes, basically. So, you look at something like this.
No, but in this case, what were they complaining about? Because nobody is telling you get dengue so you don't get corona.
But they were saying
like the devil and the deep sea.
Why are you telling us this news?
No,
okay.
But it's just...
And is the government suggesting, again, it's a stupid reaction, but I was surprised by how many people had this reaction online.
But I'm just saying that for those who did get dengue and they had to go through the experience, maybe it's a silver lining for them.
But these kind of people that Gilbert just mentioned, right? All these people, cow pei, cow boo. Every time, good thing I didn't read that, because every time I read something like this, I get another disease. My hemorrhoids will pop out. Because it makes me so damn irritated.
I told you how visual I am. Please stop putting ideas in my head. It horrifies me.
No, but if your hemorrhoids pop out,
okay, are we really going to go for? Okay,
no, is that helpful to keep away some other kind of disease?
I'm regretting it.
It's keeping away the cow poo guys, right?
I'm regretting it.
Okay, so let's wait and see what happens. I mean, the good news is that the local COVID numbers are declining, and that is not to do necessarily with dengue, but really it's got to do with wearing your mask and observing safe distancing, which we're going to continue to do even as we enter into phase 3, knock wood.
Correct. Okay? But even the community has to take care of the mosquitoes. Don't forget, they are there, so you've got to empty your plates, the pots, and keep our environment.
Notice when you said phase 3, there was mosquitoes. A ding. My goodness. Heaven's bells are tolling.
So excited. Yeah.
Exactly. So, Daisy, maybe you want to bring us to the next subject, which is a surprise last-minute
halt of execution of convicted drug trafficker 1 day before it was scheduled to happen. So we had Syed Suhail bin Syed Zin, a Singaporean who was originally scheduled to hang on Friday, September the 18th, and he had his execution put on hold. Now, I mean, how is this important for us or to discuss? Because it has surfaced the issue of whether Singapore should abolish the death penalty or not. Now, it's not a new issue. I feel it does surface when any of these cases come to light, like the Nigerian drug smuggler who was guilty but then found not guilty, guilty again, not guilty. So the discussion here is increasingly about whether the death penalty should be abolished. Now, I've got some thoughts on that, but I'd like to start with you all to know whether maybe we agree on this one Because you see, every time there is a death penalty, there's a spark of this discussion, change.org, let's abolish the death penalty. Go ahead, Gilbert. What do you think? He's taking a deep breath. Yes, so he's got to go first.
No. I think that there's pros and cons. I personally believe in the death penalty. I think that there are certain heinous crimes, especially when I read about people who have tortured and killed children. I think that those cases deserve the death penalty.
Yeah, but here we are... Okay, so there are two issues. There are people who are very vocal about abolishing the death penalty, and they have strong reasons for it, and they make a very strong case. But in this case, what we'd like to discuss is specifically about drug smugglers.
Okay, so the big question about the death penalty that is in debate all over the world, especially in countries that still have it, is whether or not it's actually a deterrent. That's the main thing, basically.
Okay.
They're saying, does it deter people? So on the one side, yes.
As a society, do we feel safer, more secure?
Yes, exactly.
If there is a death penalty.
So, the argument goes this way. The people who are anti-death penalty say, no, it is not a deterrent because people do not stop committing crimes because there's a death penalty. They stop committing crimes if they think they're going to get caught. So enforcement and likelihood of being caught is a bigger deterrent than the punishment that awaits you. That's one argument there. Then there are people who believe that no, it is a deterrent, and certainly the Singapore government feels that way. That's why we have the death penalty for drug trafficking and for murder as well. And I think for other things, I think for a while, I'm not sure if the case, but kidnapping had the death penalty.
Yes.
And I do believe it is a deterrent. I think that you can't say blanket-wise that it doesn't work. I think that the fear of that people have is that you might execute the wrong person. So that's a situation by itself. But whether or not there's a deterrent, I do believe it is a deterrent, and I do believe in the death penalty for certain heinous crimes. Now, whether or not it is for drug trafficking, that's a bit more to be discussed, because is it a deterrent drug trafficking? I think it is. I think that the big drug kingpins know to avoid Singapore.
Right. And you are so spot on about that, because I was thinking about the same thing. As a mother, I really need to share this. So what happened is there's always this discussion about, whether to abolish. And the key word is abolish. Because in 2012, Law Minister brought up let's look at death penalty in a more acute way. Let's take it, case at a time, which is very welcome. But in 2005, because every time there's a drug smuggler and he's going to be put to death, there are these discussions going on. So in 2005, I remember there was a case which had a huge impact on me. Now, the case of Nguyen Thuong Van, who was the Australian who was given the death penalty in Singapore, and he had 400 grams of heroin with him. Again, discussion, lots of, candlelit vigils and, clemency, and let's go into that. And somewhere I remember reading at that time that if those drugs had reached the streets, they were sold on the streets to individuals and kids, because more often than not now they're getting them even younger. Actually, hundreds, if not thousands of individuals, including kids, would have been affected. Meaning they, in one way, would be facing a slow death. And when that impact on me, like the penny dropped, oh my God, are we looking at a drug peddler could actually be like a mass murderer? Because that drug, and of course, you're looking at people who are minorities, who have economic reasons, whatever, to do what they do. Once you do that, and it's out there on the streets, it can reach anybody. And especially when you're a mother and you're thinking of, my kids used to go out to party, and you're waiting at home and it's 1 o'clock and it's 2 o'clock, and it's like, oh my God, are they safe? But to be fair, it didn't strike you that somebody is going to shoot you down or you're going to be injecting heroin. And that's when you feel safer, very much like how you said, knowing that, yes, it is a deterrent.
So, Chris, what do you think? Because I hear you waiting here then. Yeah.
You hear me waiting.
Yeah.
You
But
were-
I just want to quote Nancy Reagan before I quote Khalil Gibran. I need to quote Nancy Reagan because as a woman, and she said, I believe that more people would be alive today if there was a death penalty. I mean, I'm not saying for or against, but these are also things that you need to consider.
Yes,
you see?
yes. Okay, Chris.
Yes, Chris, we're waiting, Chris.
You know, it's a very strange thing as you get older. Your opinions start to change. Now, don't get me the wrong way. I am not against entirely on capital punishment. I used to be an advocate when I get into arguments and debates with foreigners in Singapore, and said as a first world nation, we certainly are very backward in the way we conduct our punishments, law and punishment. And I tell them, and it's very much like what Daisy said, you know, the streets are clean. But hand to heart, today, are they really clean? We are cleaner than most countries.
Yes.
That's
Sure.
it. It's
Hang
the
on,
comparison.
Yes.
Hang on. The onus still belongs to the individual to have the discipline
Do not.
and
Yeah.
and you know, the awareness of the dangers of this. Don't forget, back in the 70s, as I was growing up, it was a massive issue. It was. People were chasing the dragon. People were heroin addicts. And there were so many laws about long hair, you know,
Yes.
if you have long hair, because most people who were druggies or secret society members had long hair.
Yes.
Look at society today. Now, I'm not saying we've come a long way. I'm not saying we're 100% clean, and we won't be. Let's face facts. There will be those that, you know,
Yes.
where the system won't be able to catch.
Yes.
I am for the fact to stop, you know, this going to our kids. It's dangerous. Yes, I don't get me the wrong way.
Yeah.
But what I am saying is that how robust is our system to ensure that those they caught are truly, indeed, guilty. Of late, we've seen some people have been acquitted. People who've been screaming their innocence, and it was proven that they are, or believed that they were actually drug mules.
Yes.
And they were unaware.
Yeah, but drug mules doesn't mean that they are innocent,
correct.
you know. It means that they are not the masterminds behind it.
No.
Which is
If
usually
you
the
read
case.
if you've read the story, like this guy,
Nigerian.
Uche Chukwu Chukwudi, the Nigerian guy.
Yeah. No, he was unwitting. That means to say...
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Let me just qualify that, and so
okay.
that we are all on the same page.
Sure.
Unwittingly.
Yes.
Okay. Became drug mules.
Yeah,
okay. I'm talking about those.
Yeah.
My worry is that it can happen to any one of us. Face facts. It can.
Yeah.
We can drive across the causeway and somebody stuff something without you knowing.
Yeah.
It can happen to any one of us.
I think that they
it
do
is quite
investigate
worrying.
this,
Correct.
though.
But
They do investigate
you
to see whether or not, you know,
Yes.
you've got any connection at all, or whether you're an unwitting one.
No, that's great, but I just want to say I'm not doubting it.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that I just hope
Yes,
that
yes, yes.
every measure is put in place, because putting a person at the gallows
Yes.
is a serious sin.
Right.
Of course.
But the fact that the Nigerian was acquitted, the fact that they are willing to stop the execution to dwell further, it just proves that the judicial system understands how grave this decision is.
2011.
And the process is in place.
He was sentenced in 2011.
He still lost many years of his...
True.
So-
but you see, these are casualties of war, you know, Chris.
Oh, wow.
It's war on drugs.
I'm
okay?
sorry, I think
As
that's
a mother,
I don't think-
no. As a mother, I feel drugs is such a rampant problem.
There can never
especially
be
when
collateral damage
No.
for something like
Yes,
this.
sure.
But you know, the
have
thing-
to be realistic.
Yes. But
you
the thing
cannot
about
use
it,
the word
Daisy, is
never
that
be.
it's not as if
It
the
is.
drug addicts are going out there and spiking people's drinks and then they become drug addicts.
No.
The person who's taking drugs voluntarily goes
True.
and buys these expensive drugs.
Absolutely.
Okay? So,
But we were talking, at least for me, I was talking about kids. Because I remember there was and
But
I
kids
don't
meaning
even,
what age?
No, means, you know, they are 13, 14. I remember there was a case, and I don't even know if it was proved true, But there was this, amongst the mothers, and I don't want to name the school, there was this whole, they were scared because outside the school, there were a couple of people who were spotted every afternoon when the kids were coming out. And just casually, these guys used to be around and used to just give them sweets or things like that. And one of the mothers must have noticed this pattern, and she brought up this situation. And it was terrifying because, and again I say I'm not really sure, but this was making the rounds, that the sweets were laced with a kind of, but this is doable.
People are not going to get
it happens.
drugs.
No. But it happens in India. We have known of cases, at least when I used to be there, where young children are made into peddlers, right? And at the end, you're 9, you're 8, you're 9 years old. You go and peddle the drug. When you come back, they give you you want to sniff some?
Okay.
Sniff some.
I think that
and
very
that's the
that's a
beginning.
different thing.
That's a
That
different thing.
That one
Yeah.
is like, date rape drugs.
No,
yeah.
It
true.
could, it could even be
the
prescription
majority,
drugs.
I would say
So,
99.9%.
I don't want to
Yeah.
split hairs, but what I'm trying to say is when you, yes, not a single innocent should go to the gallows, yes. But abolish, that's a very big
I am not saying abolish. I never
so
said
okay,
abolish.
so we all on the
So-
same
No,
page.
no, so-
I'm not on the same page when it comes to casualties of war is acceptable, because that casualty of war could be your kid.
No,
Yeah.
that's exactly
someone's
what I'm saying.
kid.
No, it's not what has happened sometimes. See, when you look to the West, each and every person, I don't know how many states have the death penalty, but they're usually life imprisonment. I cannot actually say exactly what's happening there because I usually go as a visitor, but I do reckon that there's a lot of problems.
Yes,
And
but
in our little red dot, I think
and I
we
don't,
are safer
but no,
this
but
way.
okay, but I would say this: I don't know if necessarily the death penalty really is a deterrent for one very important reason. Okay, just 3 days ago in Singapore, they found 4 kg of heroin in a toilet bowl in Bukit Batok housing
yes.
flat.
Correct.
4 men and 2 women were arrested for drug activities.
Yeah.
It netted 5,000 grams of heroin,
Oh.
1,000 grams of methamphetamine, also known as ice, 13 grams of new psychoactive substances. The list just goes on. 20 Aramin 5 tablets and the
Yeah.
and all of this.
And now?
That it's worth $700,000,
Correct.
and they seized also $174,000 in
Yeah.
cash.
So what happens to them? They get life imprisonment.
We don't know.
We don't know yet,
Okay?
I mean.
But
you
my point
think
basically
they could
is,
get.
of course, they could, because you know,
Yeah.
if you're 4 kg of heroin, you will
Yes,
get the death
definitely.
So we are agreeable.
No, but my point is, how come this happened if it's a deterrent? The death penalty is in place in
That's the
Singapore.
matter in question.
Yes, exactly.
Correct, because money talks and BS walks.
Well-
no, really. Look, come on.
No, money talks means
what do you mean by that?
No, wait,
that they might.
let me explain.
Okay,
You're,
sorry.
don't talk while I'm
No, because
interrupting.
sorry.
Aiyo.
But money talks means you mean they
Yeah.
bribed.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, quick.
People who carry that much drug, that means the street value is crazy high.
Crazy
Yes,
high.
yes,
Right?
of course.
So the prospect of these people thinking I'm going to earn that much money, right? If I get away with it, hey, it's worth the risk taking. Some people are like that.
Sure.
These guys are probably
But-
high risk
okay,
takers,
but-
so they
but
did that.
yeah,
you
of
know,
course,
that's
of
what
course.
I mean.
But what I'm saying is that.
But is it a deterrent?
Is it a deterrent?
For people like them? No, it's not.
so that's the big
Maybe
question,
they
you
could
see.
have been a lot more.
That's what I'm saying, because the street value is so high
Yes.
for some of these guys, and then they come in still knowing for a fact
I'm
that
gonna
they
ask
can
you
go to the
another
gallows.
question. No, so I'm going to. Okay. But the fact of the matter is that if for a moment, hypothetically, you have abolished the death sentence, you've abolished the gallows, what would happen to these people who were going to flood our streets?
Daisy, I don't think even Gilbert is saying that.
Yes,
I'm not
yes.
saying it either to abolish it.
I'm not
We're
saying to
not
abolish
saying
it.
that.
So we are
I'm
not-
just raising the question
Yeah.
as to whether
Is it
or
a
not it really is
deterrent?
I do
Yes.
feel it is.
Yeah.
It keeps us safer. It protects us with the knowledge.
Okay,
Between life imprisonment.
I think this is a
and
very
the-
important thing, because
Yeah.
I can tell you this, all right? The studies that have been done that have shown real reduction in drug abuse and drug use and drug trafficking is not so much from the death penalty. It is from eradicating poverty. It's from providing children with schools
Yeah.
and education.
Deeper problems.
education.
Yeah.
Awareness.
That I agree.
Not broken homes.
Well, like what you said earlier on.
And
Yeah,
the real problems in America are these problems.
Okay, can I ask you
Yes,
something?
correct.
No, can I ask you
Exactly.
something?
Illiteracy,
poverty.
the broken family.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I
You
ask you
especially
something?
in the minority communities,
Correct.
the
Yeah.
housing projects and all of that.
And of course,
Yeah.
there are the very, very rich who are, the stars and the celebrities. But I want to ask both of you a question. So, if you're looking at not abolishing, but you're looking at the deeper problems, and Chris brought
Yes.
up and said, okay, I'm talking about the market, the people who buy these drugs. In Singapore, if you're caught buying the drug for personal use or for party use, what happens to them then? They are jailed.
Yes, that's jailed,
They're
but they don't
definitely
face
jailed.
the death penalty
Yeah.
because it's only for trafficking, not for use.
Yes.
Correct.
Consumption. That's consumption.
So my question would be, what do you think this is enough for the people who are actually consuming it? Because without a market, there's no demand if there is no market, right? So my question to you is, because you said, okay, there are so many people who are willing to buy it. So do you think we need to have a look at, I'm talking about the law, to have a look at that side too?
I
Increasing
think
the
that the
sentence-
deterrents are legal ones at all, because these people think they can get away with it. And I have to say, my own personal observation of people that I know who shall remain unnamed for obvious reasons, is that there's a lot of drug use in Singapore.
Yep.
It's shocking.
Yep. Yes.
And I certainly, maybe in my naivete, always thought in Singapore, no, people don't use drugs, but they are. And there have been high publicity cases of people who are arrested for doing drugs and all that. But it
Yes.
still continues
Gilbert,
in the clubs.
Yes.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Nobody, I don't think at any point of time we believe that there is zero drugs in Singapore. Having said that, the discussion is also about percentages. I mean, we are looking at a situation.
I know what you're saying there.
Yeah.
You're saying that basically, look, Singapore is in a much better situation than a lot of Western countries. My point basically is that I don't think that's necessarily only because of the death penalty.
Correct.
It's got a lot to do with the social family structure in Singapore.
Yes.
It's got to do with the literacy here. It's got to do with the lack.
But it
It's
is
not an
not
apple-to-apple
No,
comparison
no,
to the
but
West.
it is not only the ones who are economically deprived in Singapore that take drugs. In fact, it might be the other way around.
They're called
where the
stupid.
people who are
They're just
who are
called
Yeah, but they
stupid.
do different kinds of drugs.
Okay.
Basically.
It was their
So
own
anyway,
freedom of choice to make that kind of decision.
I just want
Yeah.
to end by saying that none of us are really equipped with the law or the knowledge, but we're
all I
discussing
want to
you know,
say is that I just hope that they are very clear about a person's guilt.
Yes.
And that person should not try to prove his innocence, and
Yes.
because he's innocent till proven guilty.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that
You
goes
know?
without
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
I think
Because
that,
it can
you
happen
know-
to any one of us or our
in
children
America, for
too.
example,
True.
the people
no,
who are
agree. But
Yes.
that does not mean. See, one thing we all agreed on: case by case. No need to totally abolish. Be very vigilant. Justice needs to be done. If it means waiting for years to make sure that the person is innocent or guilty,
I think
so
that
be
it is still a travesty of justice if somebody is innocent but
Yeah.
has to undergo all of that.
Yes.
So I think the legal side needs to make sure that
That they are
it's
efficient.
Right.
expedited,
Okay.
because it goes back to the case of Priti, for example,
Yes.
whereby she was assumed to be guilty or found
Parti.
to be guilty, a party, and then she had to wait for years before justice
Exactly.
was brought up.
Let me just
So
tell you.
that is an issue that needs to be addressed.
If you're stuck in
too.
prison for 8-9 years, like this Nigerian guy,
Yeah,
just 8-9 years of your life
exactly.
gone.
Yeah, So
And
I
you're
think that
older,
again, hopefully that's really a 1 in a million kind of a situation.
I believe.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
I have faith, and I
Yes.
believe that should.
Okay, so we have to move on and wrap up. So why do we go on now to the topic of party?
Okay, put up the mirror
basically.
ball and disco lights. Come on.
So the former maid of prominent businessman Liu Man Leong is seeking the court's permission for an inquiry into the conduct of the 2 prosecutors in her case. She filed a complaint in June against deputy public prosecutors, 2 of them, who had persecuted her case in the state courts for theft. So what do you guys think about this? I'm very sure that this was done with the full counsel of her lawyer. Personally, I think that this is important. I think that the court should look into it to see whether or not there was any kind of elitism, whether there was any kind of bias against her. For them, the way that they ignored some of the very important evidence cases, the fact that the evidence was not seized, that it was left in the house.
The DVD player, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things,
Yeah,
and you really, when you actually go into it, you kind of just realize that, wow, it's
Shocking.
so shocking that one prominent person can levy accusations against a defenseless person, and that the system seems to take the side immediately. But in this case, there were lapses, I think, in the police conduct of not seizing the evidence. So now the prosecutors themselves not follow what they should have been doing. So
I am so glad about one thing, man. That lawyer of hers, and including Parti, they've got some kahunas to take these guys on.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that the legal system, our justice system, they are not, they're balanced.
Yes,
That even
exactly.
if you're a prosecutor,
yeah.
you can still be taken to
Of course,
task.
no one is above
I
the
am
law.
so glad about that.
no one's above the law.
Yes,
I think
and no one
that's-
should be. I
Yeah.
think this is a very, very good example.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is one thing I think we all agree on, that yes, every step of the way we are going to follow this here on the show, because we are waiting for Parliament, because
Yeah.
this is going to go
But
there as
it
well.
does, it does open up some very big issues, though. So I hope that these will definitely need to be addressed, and we'll cover them and discuss them and debate them and argue about them, basically. So I think that brings us to the close for this exciting issue. The time has just flown.
Yeah.
But Daisy's supposed to do the close.
Yes. I'm just going to say that.
That's okay.
Final word from me basically is that, as with anything else, it isn't not just the government's responsibility, whether or not it is about your child doing drugs or your child stealing underwear or whatever it is. It is personal responsibility, and it is up to us. It is not for us to just say it's the government's responsibility, or to think that the law should take care of it, or that deterrence should take care of it. Ultimately, it does come to personal responsibility. So we need to be responsible for our own behavior and to watch over our kids, especially. That's really important. There's nothing that can replace good parenting, and good parenting is not passing it to the schools necessarily or to the government to do.
Yeah.
So, Chris?
That is what it is, man. And it is about good parenting. I'm so surprised you didn't have a quote.
No,
I
there's a quote
struggle
woman.
every week now
Quote
to get
woman is
quotes
gonna
now.
get
Oh, now
one.
you can
Quote
stop
woman.
quoting.
No, I quote myself.
And you've got to remind them to be kind.
Yes.
That
of
one,
course.
that
Yes.
one, yeah.
That's a given, basically.
That's a given.
Stay safe and be good and be kind.
That is so Gilbert Cheah.
Chris,
Okay.
come on. Whom are you going to quote?
I don't quote philosophers and all that. I quote
Freddie Mercury
musicians. No. You too.
Yeah,
You do
I know
what?
him.
You too. You two are the band. You
Whoa,
two.
no, la.
Hello.
I
Can
all
you
their
come back
music
to the modern days,
downloaded-
man?
Their music downloaded automatically onto my phone, one whole album.
Of
which I
course,
didn't
because
buy.
it's
Good for
free.
you.
They give
I
it
didn't
free to the
know.
whole
I
world
was
as long as you
wondering,
have
like,
an
who tampered
iPhone.
with my phone all of a
Oh
sudden.
my
I
goodness.
think
Anyway.
they wanted to
Yeah.
introduce you to good music.
I am a big U2 fan. I
Carpenters.
was at a concert last year. I loved it. Waited 30 plus years
In
for them to
Ireland,
come to
is it?
Singapore.
Okay,
In Singapore.
so
What's wrong with you? Where have you been living?
Chris,
I
go
have,
ahead.
I have 1970s music taste, lah.
Oh my goodness, you John Denver, are you?
Hey, actually, even I like you,
Oh
John
goodness
Denver.
me.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, this is a verse from the song One, written by and performed by U2. And I like it because I think there's a good
One of the
message
free
here.
songs.
So it says this: did I disappoint you or leave a bad taste in your mouth? You act like you never had love and you want me to go without. Well, it's too late tonight to drag the past out into the light. We're one, but we're not the same. We get to carry each other. Carry each other. One. Deep, right? Deep, huh?
Sounds like something he would say to his
Okay,
wife.
so I'm going to close. And I'm going to close not with the U2 song, which was very deep. I just want to say that today's episode was ultimately it was all about justice. Whether it's the NUS situation, how the courts are going to look at that, whether it is Parti Liyani's case, even the abolition of the death penalty. It's about justice, protecting society from destruction, and just keeping us protected.
Wait for it, it's coming.
So, to end, I'd like to quote Khalil Gibran.
Okay.
What did he say about stealing underwear?
He talked about justice, and listen, do not be merciful, but be just. Do not be merciful, but be just. For mercy is bestowed upon the guilty criminal, while justice is all that the innocent man requires. So if you are innocent, trust that justice will be done. And guys, keep listening to In Our Humble Opinion.
Optimistic.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
keep listening to
put the underwear on your head.
I think that was just ignore that. That was really not the way we like to end our show.
Say bye, Daisy.
Please keep listening to In Our Humble
Tea is
Opinion.
good.
Like, listen, and we'll be back with you next week. Thank you.
Bye.